What's up guys, MrBayeasy here, and today we're going to be talking about the armor abilities in Halo 5 Guardians. And really quick right off the bat, I do want to state my opinion on how I feel about armor abilities. Now I do feel very strongly, and this is nothing new, I've said this in previous commentaries in the past, that nothing should ever be taken out of a game because the only thing that it affects is your hard drive size. So even the good, the bad, and the ugly guys should never be taken out of a game, and that includes armor abilities. Maps are kind of subjective because you do have to the developer has to remake them, but things like weapons, traits, forging options, if we're using Halo as the example here, forging options, custom game options, or anything like that, you should always just add to what you have. And now before any of you freak out and be like, oh, but armor lock, MrBayeasy, armor lock. I know, I don't like armor lock. I'm pretty much as against armor lock as the next guy, but it doesn't, you know, I can't say that in totality. I can't say that, oh, armor lock was 100% bad. It was just the worst thing in the world. And, you know, from my experience, yes, it was annoying to have that in multiplayer, but what I'm proposing doesn't have to be multiplayer. It could easily just be in custom games. Just because something is in the game does not mean it needs to be implemented in the multiplayer. It could be in custom game options and forge options so that whoever may like to use armor lock, or whoever maybe misses, you know, the Mauler from Halo 3 would really appreciate having that in custom game, you know what I mean? Maybe you want to do a Mauler armor lock battle. I mean, I wouldn't want to do that, but if somebody wants to do that out there, they should be able to. It shouldn't be a decision that's left up to the developer. It should be given to the person playing the game because it's the right thing to do, really. They paid the money, they can choose. So instead of the developer choosing, okay, well, this is bad, so let's take it out, instead of doing that, let's say, okay, well, this is bad, so maybe next time around, let's not implement it in multiplayer, but we'll keep it in custom game and forge, so that if anyone wants to use it for whatever reason they may want to, it doesn't really matter the reason. If they want to use it, they can. They can go and do that, and we're not gonna, you know, say no to that because that's their decision. So that's how I feel about that, guys. But in terms of armor abilities, I do think they should all be brought back. Anything that was taken out should be brought back into Halo 5 Guardians. Now I don't remember all of them, however, there's two that really stand out in my mind. One of the big ones being armor lock. Again, don't freak out. I don't think that should be in multiplayer. I'm very strongly against that being in multiplayer, but it should be in custom game if anyone wants to use it, as well as evade. Now I know there's thrust in the game, but evade is a totally different beast in my mind. I mean, that thing was pretty crazy, and it did have some fun. Really, I played some fun custom games that used evade, and I really liked it. You know what I mean? So that should be another thing in custom games. You can even use evade in some multiplayer game modes, like maybe, okay, I'm not a griffball person, so don't get mad at me if I say this, I just think it would be a cool idea, but, you know, maybe evade, in my mind, would work pretty good in griffball, whereas I don't think evade would really work well anywhere else, because it is quite powerful, but in griffball, seems pretty fun in my mind. Maybe some of you hardcore griffball players out there wouldn't want that, but I can't say for sure. I'm not a griffball player. Just from a third-person perspective, it would be cool to watch people rolling around, you know, with this griffball trying to score it. So that would be pretty cool. But anyway, this is what I'm talking about. These things should be in the game. They should, you know, new ones should of course be added. Nothing should ever be taken out. Like I said before, new things should just be added. Maybe at the very, you know, most, there should be tweaks to the things that people didn't like. And then, again, they still be in custom games, so they're a little bit more fair anyway, even if they're not going to be in multiplayer. So that's what I'm talking about. But what I really want to see here, guys, is I think that there should be multiple stages of how these things are implemented in multiplayer game modes if they're going to be in them. Okay, so from a competitive standpoint, again, don't even mess with it. If someone wants to play crazy, let them play crazy. But in social game modes, I think it should, to an extent, be that craziness, right? Of course, you should be able to spawn with them if you want to. It depends on how they do the multiplayer, but, you know, you should be able to spawn with them in social. That's kind of my idea of it. So social game modes are a bit more relaxed. You're able to spawn with your armor abilities, whether that be Jetpack or Thrust or whatever, similar to the way Halo 4 was with armor abilities and spawning with them in social game types. Now with competitive, I think that they should really implement what they did in Halo 4 and Halo Reach, where instead of having armor abilities on your person at all times, you had to achieve them through, you know, like a quote-unquote kill streak or a supply drop or whatever you want to call it. Whatever game you come from that makes sense, that is what it would be. So essentially a kill streak, guys. Most people are familiar with kill streaks. That's the terminology I'm going to use. But, you know, essentially that's how you would get the ones that aren't that powerful. So Thrust, maybe, again, Hard Light Shield was in Halo 4, that was one of the ones you could choose from in the kill streak. I forget what the other one was. Oh, it was Hologram that was a bit more realistic. It wasn't that good. Sometimes you fell for it, sometimes you didn't. Pretty much the same effect that Hologram had in the other game, but a little bit better, a little bit more realistic. So anyway, moving on from that, guys, the slightly more powerful ones that could be a bit more advantageous, such as Jetpack, we saw those guys in Halo 4 multiplayer, Halo 4 competitive, as pickups on the map to give you an advantage. Now, of course, only one person could get this because, again, it was not a drop. It was not something that you could acquire through a kill streak. There was usually 1 or 2 on the map for each side of the team, or if one team was able to gain control of the map, they would get both of them. And so that's what I'm talking about. Jetpack is something that's a little bit more powerful, a little bit more advantageous to have because you have much greater mobility with something like that. Not even from a standpoint of getting good angles, just from a mobility standpoint of where you can go with the jetpack where other people just can't. They have to take the average routes, they're going to get shot at in the average ways. Jetpack allows you to just, kind of be a bit unorthodox and go your own way to get to your own destination. So this should be implemented in hardcore game modes or competitive game modes. They should have the ones where you can pick them up or call them in as kill streaks if you still want to go that route. It works either way, to be perfectly honest. And then with social game types, yeah, you should still be able to spawn with them. They're a fun thing to do. There's no reason to stop it. I mean, again, it's a social game type, guys. It's a social game mode. Whatever it may be, you're playing socially. It's supposed to be having fun. Of course, some people take it seriously and all that, but I mean, it worked pretty fine in Halo 4. There were some complaints, some discrepancies, but at the same time, I just didn't see them being that much of an issue to be able to spawn with them, especially the ones in Halo 4. They weren't that bad, okay? It's nothing like Reach, where everybody and their mom was using armor lock, and it was just like, oh my god, armor lock, armor lock. It was just like a constant thing. But with Halo 4, it doesn't seem that bad of an idea to me. So let me know what you're thinking about this in the comments down below. Let me know what you think about bringing back all the armor abilities, all the weapons that were ever taken out of a game, and possibly even some of the best maps that were ever in Halo being brought back as DLC. I've spoken about that in the commentary. I'll leave that in the outro so you can click on that if you want to hear it. But let me know what you think about the commentary in general, guys. I definitely want to hear your opinions on these topics. It would be really interesting to respond and hear those. With that being said, rate the video what you think it deserved, and if you'd like to become a Sage in training, make sure you subscribe today. This has been MrBayeasy, your favorite Sage, and as always, I'll see you in the next video.